I just don't understand women. Now, you may get this. You may have said this many times. The truth is, a lot of men say it, and a lot of women say it about men. But when you understand the reality of it, you don't have to understand women. You see, that's every woman. You just need to understand a woman. True. Or a girlfriend, or whatever you call your closest one.
Your boo thing.
Yeah, your boo thing or whatever. But the truth is, we're all individuals. Women are individuals, men are individuals. You're not going to find them being the exact same. So you don't want to understand all women because that doesn't help you understand a woman. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what you can do to learn how to focus on a woman and understand her, and you'll have a much better relationship.
This is the Thriving Man Podcast with David and Reese Maxwell. These weekly shows are designed to help you remove the confusion from your life and make real progress with your growth. No matter where you are or where you're going, we're here to help you live a life you can be proud of. So welcome to the Thriving Man Podcast.
Welcome to the Thriving Man Podcast, where our goal is to help you get out of survival mode and into living a life that you're proud of. I'm Reese.
And I'm David.
And believe it or not, he is my father. It's crazy. We act almost exactly the same.
We do. It's
who would believe it?
Who would know?
Today we're talking about how to be a student of your wife, your spouse, whoever that person may be.
Yeah.
When it comes to romantic relationships, a lot of times, like you said earlier, we have these big ideas of like, I just don't understand all women.
Yeah.
And the truth is, there's some misunderstandings even behind that statement that if we get past, it can really get you into the next level of your relationships.
Yeah.
It's February, Valentine's Day.
It is.
The month of love.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to focus on relationships in February. It's kind of required.
Yeah.
The truth is, God created men and women to be together.
Yes.
I mean, since Genesis chapter 2, it's been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so throughout history, relationships have always been a thing.
Yeah.
Marriage has always been a thing. And so it's been the source of a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
It has also been the source of a lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah, a lot of misunderstanding. And I mean, look at all the stories of history and life. I mean, they almost all deal with relationships in one form or another.
You're talking like plays.
Plays Romeo and Juliet. I mean, what's that about? It's about a relationship.
And some big misunderstandings.
Yes. It's like every K-drama I watch. It's like, if you would just talk to each other.
Just say words.
Just say the words instead of, no, I don't want to say anything. Because then they'll, and every book, everybody's like that. And you know what's funny? We're like that in our relationships.
That's true.
We all try to read each other's minds instead of just communicating what we really think, what we really feel. And what a lot of men do is when they think they understand women in general, that's a problem. You'll never understand all women, just like women don't understand all men. But the beauty is we don't have to. We only have to understand the one.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, the fact that reality TV is a thing shows that there can be many misunderstandings even with the one.
Yeah.
So we kind of need to navigate how to get past those misunderstandings for overarching issues and getting into the specifics of how to be able to understand your spouse.
Yeah, because as a man, what you want to do is focus in on what do I need to do to understand this person. When you bring it down to the individual, it's not quite so daunting. It's not quite so hard. You don't have to understand all women. You don't have to try to figure them all out. You just got to do the one. And that may be tough enough. And believe me, she's saying the same thing about you. Why do you do this? Why don't you do this? Everybody does that. We do that with our friends. So what you want to do is just bring it down to that one area. And when you do that, it's going to help you in your relationship. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some key areas that you can work on to help you make that understanding.
Yeah, and I like the word focus. I think that's an appropriate word because imagine if you said, I'm going to learn a language.
Yeah.
That's a big feat. But saying, I'm going to learn every language is just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, oh, I'm learning Spanish, I'm learning Chinese right now, I'm also learning Korean. You know what? I'm just going to throw in some native Amazonian dialects in there. It's going to be fine. what you're doing is by not focusing, you're dividing your attention. And we do that in relationships a lot of times. So when we bring that element of focus, it enables us to take that attention and use it well.
Well, and you look at the design of it. We have a society that a lot of people get into that Tinder culture where they're, swiping right. I don't.
Be very, very quiet. I'm
going Elmer Fudd on
it.
Swiping right. Thank you very much. And swiping left. But what it is you've got so many options that you never decide. Or you're afraid of deciding because you think, well, what's on the next page? Who's the next person? And a lot of men get into where they can't commit because they're always wondering, what am I missing? Who else is out there? And that's a dangerous place to be as a man because then you never commit because you're always fearful. Who's out there? What's going on? And so the relationship doesn't become something that's about two people together. It becomes, who's the person for me? What am I going to do? And then we also start getting where we don't really commit to anybody. So then we end up lonely, unattached, by ourselves, and that's not a good place to be either.
No. So for the single person, it's being willing to invest attention in one person to really get to know them.
Yeah.
For the married person, what does focus look like? I mean, you've already got one person.
Yeah, you're married, and that's good. And a lot of guys think that's it. It's like getting to the finish line. Yes, and for most men, it's not the wedding, it's the honeymoon that we focus on the most. But you've made it to the honeymoon, you've got past that. The danger is you kind of move on. Where, okay, I'm married, I've won the girl, I did what I'm supposed to do. Now I've got to start making money. We got to start having kids. I got to be a dad. I got to take care of the house. Those are all good things and roles, and you should do them. The problem is sometimes the relationship with our spouse gets left on the back burner, if it's even on the stove at all. We can take it for granted. So we stop focusing on our wives. We start focusing on the relationship with her, and we start letting life come in and take over. And it's easy to do. We've all done it. You just have to intentionally go, okay, I'm going to focus on my bride. I want to focus on what won her. I'm going to focus on making her the most important part of my life. When you do that, you're aiming your focus. So you're kind of taking control, and you're keeping, because no one else is going to do that for you.
Right.
You're the only man who can fight for your marriage. No other man is going to fight for your marriage, unless it's a man who's trying to rob your marriage and you don't want that.
Yeah.
But you as a man, you're the only one to fight with your marriage or fight for your marriage. And what you want to do is focus on her. Continue to get to know her. Continue to make her the most important thing in your life. And I can promise you that will help your relationship stay strong throughout all the ups and downs of life.
Yeah. And the same principle applies if you are dating. If you're somebody that's dating a girl, really focus on her. Like, I think sometimes people go into dates and they're worried about, what do I look like?
That's good.
What kind of impression am I giving? Is what I'm interested in impressive enough for her? But if you really walk into it and give that person your true undivided attention, not only will it be more attractive, because women notice, they're not dumb. If you're like looking at them, but your eyes are glazed and they can just see the question, what's the score of the game on your head, but it also is more effective because the truth is, in a relationship, you want to know who that person is if you're going to take that relationship to the next level. You really want to know them. And that same principle, that same practice carries on to marriage.
It does. And for us as men, we have to remember, in order to be that person where you're interested in them, you've got to kind of know yourself too. Because what a lot of guys do when they're in the dating realm, they're trying to impress a girl, they take on personas and personalities. So they're not really showing the real them, because a lot of them don't know who they are.
Right.
So they kind of morph to become whatever the girl wants them to be. And that's a dangerous place to be, because then once you get married, you don't know who you are. And she's like, wait, you're not the person I married. And so what you want to do is really learn to know yourself, start developing yourself, growing, becoming a person who has an opinion, who knows what he thinks. That way you can be yourself in front of her and not let those outside things distract from even that relationship, to where you go into the marriage a whole lot stronger.
Yeah, and you don't want to be distracted in that dating realm by what she can offer you. I mean, that is something to keep in mind, like, do we fit?
Yeah.
But that's very different from what can I get out of this woman? And that's why we think it's best to avoid sex before marriage.
Yeah.
Because if you walk in and you're saying, what can I get?
Yeah.
And you're thinking through that lens of like, let me just get her in the bedroom, you're going to miss out on a lot of the deeper questions that actually make up in a marriage. Like, I promise you, sexual compatibility is basically irrelevant. It fits. That's why the human race is still here.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be okay. I promise you, it's going to work out.
Well, you hear people say that all the time. They're like, well, how do you know if they're sexually compatible? Men and women are pretty much set up to be sexually compatible.
It kind of comes with the territory.
And sex is not the end-all, be-all of life. It's a part of life. It's a great part of life. We very much enjoy it. But it's designed to be in marriage to help a couple be close together. It's also designed so you have children, so the race continues. That's a good thing. But the thing that makes up a great marriage is a whole lot more than sex. Sex is part of it, but it's not just the physical. It's the spiritual, the emotional, the mental. Those sides of it are actually what builds your marriage up better. And you're not going to really get to know those parts of a person if you get involved with them sexually before you're married.
Right.
And what it'll do is it'll kind of cloud your judgment. And, well, I do it this way. I bake cakes. I like to bake cakes. I like to eat cakes. That's why I started baking them. But if you mess up a cake, you know, where it's kind of torn, doesn't look great, icing can cover a lot of mistakes. You can put icing on that cake and nobody knows that it cut in half or half of it got stuck to the pan or whatever. Icing covers up a lot of mistakes. And sex can be that for a lot of people. You're having sex with a woman and you enjoy that. That's what it's, you know, we're going to enjoy that. But it hides a lot of issues that you may not notice. But then you get married to this person, you think, wait a minute, this isn't the person I thought they were. Well, that's because the sex kind of hid you from all that. And so you kind of had that sexual high with someone. And so you're missing out on building all the other aspects in your life. That's why we say wait till marriage. You say, well, that's hard. It is, but we're men. We do hard things all the time. And we can do that. And if you learn how to control your own urges, you're going to learn how to have a much more successful life.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. The same, I guess you would say, muscle of self-control that you use to not have sex with her before marriage is the same muscle of self-control you use to stay faithful.
Yes.
It's the same self-control that you use to have integrity, to live well, to pay your bills on time. Like self-control is kind of an important thing. Yeah. It's a cornerstone. Now, I'm not saying that staying out of sex is easy, but that's the point. Like that's why it builds up that emotional muscle. Yeah,
and it helps you take that focus and put it on her as a person and not just as someone to help an appetite. And that's the goal.
Right. And the danger is if we become too physical, like touchy-feely, feelings-based, we can even rush past red flags. Yeah. Like I remember my sister had somebody at her school that dated a guy, got engaged within a couple months, and got married within the first year.
Wow.
That relationship is no longer there because it was probably very quick, very feelings-based, and they missed a lot of the signs along the way of like, hey, maybe we're not mature enough to do this right now. Yeah. I mean, that's just a reality. And we don't want you to make the same mistake or any other guys in your life, really.
No.
So the first element is focus. Yeah. If you're dating, focus on the person. If you're married, focus on the other person. That really helps. Yeah. Being able to look at that one person and say, how can I love them well, bless them well? Yeah. What's number two?
Number two is to study. And what you do when you study is you're taking focus to that next level. So you're saying, okay, here is the person I want to get to know better. And you become a student of theirs. You get to know them for who they are. You find out more about them. You ask questions. You spend time with them. You can spend time with them in different situations. And that's what we want to do, is really find the joy of getting to know someone for who they are. And what you want to do is use dating as a way to test out, how does this person react in uncomfortable situations? Maybe you go and you do something that's hard for both of you. Maybe you see how they act when you're out playing a game with a bunch of people. Do they have anger control issues, stuff like that. Those are all things you only find out by studying. And I'm not saying you have to keep a logbook or do anything weird like that. It's not a psychological thing. It's just you going, okay, let me get to know them better. Let me find out who they are as a person in all types of situations, not just when, everybody's putting their best foot forward. They're taking the Photoshop picture and putting it online. You're seeing them without the Photoshop. You're seeing them in everyday situations. You're seeing them around their family. Things like that is how you study them and get to know them better.
Yeah, the joy that comes in a relationship really comes from getting to know the other person and love them well. The truth is, whoever you're with is not the exact same as anyone else. They are a truly unique individual. They have unique aspects in their background, in their life, in their attitude, in their responses, and what they enjoy, what they hate. Get to know those things. It can be fun. It can be enjoyable. It can be more enjoyable than getting to know all the trivia about your favorite sports team or getting to know all the nuances of your favorite video game. It's not a means to an end. It's like part of the joy is the studying and the learning and the growing and the getting better. That's something that we don't want to lose the joy of that. That happens in dating, but it also continues in marriage. That is something that you want to keep doing.
Yeah, you do. And the reality is you may need to take notes.
You should.
And you should. It's not get an app, use notes on your phone, Evernote, Notion, whatever program
works.
you use. Create a note with that person in mind and get to know them. Because if you really care, you'll take notes and you'll be a good student of theirs, because that's where you really see, okay, what do I really like about this person? How did they answer this? How does that fit with me? Because if you leave that up to your memory, I don't know about you, but my memory is not the best.
Well, I'll put it like this. I'm not going to be able to remember everything.
No.
Let's use one example. Gifts. What a person likes is worth writing down.
It is.
Because you're going to say, oh my gosh, they like this sports team. They like the Chicago Cubs. I should get them a jersey. And you'll forget. 5 minutes later, you'll have the best of intentions, but you'll forget. I do too. So writing it down just brings a level of taking notes, being intentional, listening. A lot of times people are constantly, unconsciously dropping hints about who they are, what they love, what they don't like, and learning to just pay attention to that. That's the core of what we mean by study.
Yeah. And when you do that, when you write stuff down, what you're doing is you're not just writing down, okay, they like flowers. No, maybe there's specific flowers they do like.
That's true.
Well, if you write that down and remember that, what does that show them? That you paid attention. And especially to women, attention is the food of love. It's the food of relationships. If a woman knows you're actually paying attention to her, she's going to be into you, no doubt. And again, you're not doing this to manipulate. You just genuinely want to know. If you're going to buy her a gift, wouldn't you rather buy her something she enjoys, that she's going to like, she's going to really want? And what you want to do is be that student of theirs and really dig down, take notes, and get to know them.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, we talked about being your authentic self and not in a cringy, embrace your weaknesses and call them strengths kind of a way, but just being you. That's one of the most attractive things you can do for a woman is be you. That also gives her permission to be herself. You don't want to study a fake version of the person.
That's good.
You don't want to study the version of her that she thinks you'll like. You want to know who she actually is. And that starts by you being who you actually are. You're creating a safe space.
Yeah, you are. And that's where authenticity helps, because our society is getting more and more fake. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, I saw a thing about an AI girlfriend that guys can get who the AI program learns them, and she'll talk to you in the way that you like, what you want and all. It's really creepy because she's not real.
But that AI is designed to pay attention.
Yep.
And that makes a guy feel loved just as much as it makes a girl feel loved.
Yep. And they said it's already starting to bring in like $30,000 a month. And it's brand new technology. So think about that, how starved people are for attention. And if you as a man give the woman you care about the attention of getting to know her, giving her a safe place to be herself, she's going to fall for you more and more. Again, you don't manipulate with this because you've got to be authentic, but that's how it happens. And when you study her, I guarantee it's going to draw you closer. Or you're going to figure out, hey, you're great, but we're not a fit. That's okay too. That's why you study. That's why you want to stay away from the sexual stuff until marriage. That way you can keep a clear head and think clearly, is this the right person for me?
Yeah. So first you start off with focusing. You're not trying to learn a bunch of women. You're trying to learn one.
Yeah.
2, you begin the journey of studying, which is just how to pay attention and keep track of who this person really is in both the positives and in what they don't like.
Yeah.
You know, it's both. But then the third element, I think, it has to do with what we talk about all the time on the podcast, but it's a journey.
Yeah.
This isn't something to win. This isn't something like, all right, I 100%ed it. I know everything about her. We're good.
Yeah.
Because people are ever evolving.
Yep.
When you commit, especially like once you get married, this is a lifetime gig.
It is.
This is till our last breath. I want to learn more about you. I want to learn how to love you better. And the beauty of that is it does get better.
Yeah.
If you can truly bring that intentionality to learning about her consistently, it's going to get reciprocated. Unless there's some big issues that you didn't see up front, usually people treat you how you treat them. Yeah. And that happens in marriage especially. If you really bring that to the table, they're going to naturally want to be more like that towards you.
Yeah. Plus, on the journey, you can help them maybe reach places they didn't know they could get to.
Now, that's very true.
Like, hey, I'm going to encourage you to get better at this. I know this is your heart. You want to be good at this. I'm going to help you. I'm going to support you. No, go do that. You need to get better at this. Or you just speak life into them. Hey, you're really good at this. And they'll be like, no, I don't think I am. No, you really are. And you can be part of their journey. And when you do that, again, you're going to draw closer together because you've built that bond in the intimacy of helping each other when you're honest, when you're real. And that's the joy of the journey. You're getting to know each other even more. It's kind of like exploring an open world, in a video game. It's an unlimited open world. You get to go discover things.
Yeah, I am definitely more of an open world person than I am a linear game person. Learning a person is not a linear game.
Yeah.
It's a world to explore, a journey to go on. It's more complex than any game.
Yeah.
But it kind of has that element, like a lot of people like Minecraft because they not only get to explore this world, they get to create in it.
Yep.
And you have both of those elements in your marriage.
Yeah.
You not only get to explore who this person is, you get to help them create the best version of themselves. Now, that's not you manipulating, but that's you observing, like, they really want to be like this, but they don't feel like they can be because of X, Y, and Z. I can help them become that thing that they want to be.
Yeah.
How can I do that?
Yeah.
You can even ask them that. Or you can notice when I say something kind, it helps them raise their head and start becoming more like this. Or when I help them say no to this bad habit, it helps them raise their head and become more confident.
Yep.
You can begin to have this really cool, like, co-laboring to build better lives out of each other. And you let them do that for you too.
Well, and that's the beauty of the design of a long-term monogamous relationship, which is marriage, which is why God designed it that way. Because you're in a safe place. We're till death do us part. So we're in this together so we can mature together. We can get to know each other together. We can go through ups and downs together. You can help me when I'm hurting. I can help you when you're hurting. And those are things that really bring that intimacy that you really can't have outside of that place. And it's a depth of relationship that you'll never experience just going from date to date and never really digging in and going on the journey with one person.
That's true. I mean, you can have as many one-night stands as you want, but you're never going to get even close to that place.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
Unless you can walk through in the long term with somebody by focusing on them, studying them, and being willing to take the journey.
Yeah.
I think as we continue to do this, the challenge is to keep it going.
Yeah.
The challenge is to become like that kind of person. So what are some ways that people can keep this at the forefront of their mind if they're dating?
Yeah, if they're dating, I would say if you're a guy who's dating, you would ask yourself the question, what am I in a relationship for? In other words, am I here just to win the girl or to get to know the girl? Because guys, we're about winning. We want to win the prize. We're competitive. And I get that. And you do want to technically win the girl, but you want to do that by getting to know the girl. Because if you just try to win her, a lot of times you won't be yourself. You'll be who you think she wants you to be. You want to present the real you. You want her to present the real her. And you do that by just getting to know her better.
Yeah.
So if you're dating, ask yourself, what am I in the relationship for? If you're just out for casual sex, you're not looking for a real relationship. And you need to do some deep work on you. You need to figure out what's going on with me, why I think this is all I'm good enough for. You're worthy of a better relationship than that. But it starts with you and how you're living your life. So you have to ask yourself, what do I want a relationship for? What is it all about?
Yeah, you can think of dating, even the engagement part, as almost like the tutorial of a video game.
Yeah.
You're learning how to play the game. You're not winning the game. You're learning how to play it.
How to play.
You're learning that person. You're learning what they like. And when you say I do, you have now started level 1.
Yeah, yeah.
When you say I do, you haven't 100% of the game. You
That's
started
true.
level 1 and you're about to go on the adventure. That's a good perspective.
That is a
I
good
like
perspective. I like that.
So let's also think about marriage. You're already in it.
Yeah.
How can people go from a place of non-intentionality to a place of being able to really help this thing thrive?
Yeah, I think the key in a marriage is to start getting curious, more curious than maybe you have been. And that means you're the one who instigates the relationship. Go out and find some questions to take the relationship deeper. Make sure that you're still dating your wife, doing things to get to know her. Keep notes. Like we said, build notes that are yours. In fact, I mean, there's so many helps today on relationships. You could probably Google, deep relationship questions, and you'll probably have 1,000 web pages. It'll give you all the questions you could want.
Great date ideas.
I know.
And you'll have 1,000 date ideas.
And you'll have 1,000,000. And so what you want to do is be creative in that. Don't just do the same thing over and over. Be someone who's curious about, hey, I wonder if she would like this. Let's go do this. Or here's some questions I can ask her on a picnic. Let's do that. We've never done that before. Or let's go to a concert we've never gone to. You can find whatever. It can be as cheap or you can spend as much money as you want. But the key is to stay curious, to say, okay, I want to get to know you better, and be a person who encourages her in her growth. Because when you do that, she's going to see that you're genuinely paying her attention and that you really want to get to know her more.
Yeah, and it also comes down to being intentional, like taking notes, like you said, but then also asking yourself, how can I make her day?
Yeah.
How can I bless her? That's a fun question to ask, y'all.
Yeah.
It really ends up really cool because it's like playing a game that they benefit from.
Yeah.
And like Jesus says, it's better to give than to receive. A good free app for this is the Love Nudge app. If you've ever heard of the 5 love languages, that same company made a free app where you can look and get ideas for different ways to love somebody who likes gifts or who wants personal time or whatever. So check out those resources. And remember, guys, be focused, study, and be willing to take the journey. Get curious and have a great time because it's a lifetime process. Here on the Thriving Man podcast, we want not just you to thrive, but you to bring thriving to the world around you. So we're going to continue that journey. Life continues on, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Thriving Man podcast. If you want to check out more resources from David and Reese, you can go to thrivingman.com. We'll see you in the next episode.